Welcome to Straight Out of Savannah, Talking with Tammi, a podcast that showcases people you may not know who are choosing to use their gifts to inspire and move the planet.
Thank you so much for joining us on Straight Out of Savannah, Talking with Tammi, with my guest, Tasha Christy. She is here and she's going to share a little bit about what it is that she does and who she serves. Tasha, take it away.
Hi everybody. I call myself an energetic marketing coach, copywriter, and I'm a human design expert. So I'm here to really help people to tap into their soul's message and embody their human design in their marketing content and copy so that you can really make an impact on the world and bring even more people into your space and, have them buying your offers and stuff like that. That's basically, what I do. So I offer, I like to do master classes. I also offer, one-to-one stuff. I do copywriting, done for you copywriting for people as well. And pretty much all of it is, according to human design is like a backdrop, in pretty much everything that I do. But I also, bring in a lot of my intuition, which has been really strong lately. Like I'll be sitting with a client in a session and, a voice will just come through to tell me to say something to them or whatever. So lately I've been doing that. I've just been going with that. And it's usually on point. Like people are usually like, oh my God, I was thinking that, but I didn't want to say it or whatever. And then I know a lot about marketing and copywriting. So I bring in a lot of that strategic, understanding as well. Yeah.
That's awesome. So how did you get into this? I mean, what were you in your 9-to-5?
Oh, in my 9-to-5, I was a speech pathologist. So that is not even related. How I got into the marketing, copywriting, and stuff piece is because I've been in the online space since 2015. And so throughout that time, I've taken a lot of courses, done a lot of things, put together a lot of funnels. One thing I was always good at, even when I first came out, was the writing and the marketing piece. Like back in the day, you could post in Facebook groups and get, like, if you wanted like discovery calls, it's just what they call it when you want, when you want to talk to a potential client. Like I used to be able to post and get like 30 discovery calls, like with one post. So I was always good at the writing, the marketing, like, knowing how to tell a story to get people, to want to buy, to want to be a part of it. Like I was always good at that. But it took me a while because when I first started out, since I am a speech pathologist, that's what I started out in. I started out as a consultant for other speech pathologists because I had done all these things in my career. Like I had lived in New York, I lived in DC, I lived in Dubai, like I worked abroad. So I had done all these interesting things. So I was like, okay, well, I can help people, with speech pathologists who want to have that kind of dynamic career where they're doing all these different things. And so I can help them do that. Well, that kind of, even when I was doing that, it was somewhat of a life coaching, career coaching thing, because I was helping them to be satisfied and happy in their career, basically. And it morphed kind of over time into, I would say, a professional branding, because toward the end, when I stopped doing that, I was helping to position them as like experts in the field, because in speech pathology, everybody is pretty much trained to do the same thing. We all receive the same training. We have to meet the same requirements in order to practice, like all this stuff. So I was like, okay, so what's going to make you stand out in the market, and get a better job than somebody who's coming with the exact same training as you? And so I started kind of like personal branding and helping them to really like find the one thing or the couple of things that they were really, really good at. And it was a combination of professional, like skills, but also who they were as a person. So I was doing that. And then I got tired of, I kind of was getting tired of speech pathology as a career. And so I was like, okay, well, and maybe what if I can help all the people, like reach their goals and, stuff like that. So I want to be a life coach. That was like in 2017. But I didn't plan on, I knew for this, I was like, okay, well, so I know I'm probably going to have to go and get some kind of certification training or something like that. But I didn't plan on doing it immediately. I thought that I was going to see some clients first and then, let me go and get my certification, whatever I need to get. I went to do this observation for this life coaching program, and I ended up joining the program. And it was like a year-long leadership ontological coaching like training program. And so I completed that early 2019. And then what ended up coming out of that was I ended up combining like the embodiment stuff that I had learned from the program, plus, still leadership, messaging, marketing. So it was kind of like, showing up powerfully because you're doing this stuff in the background, this embodiment work in the background, whatever. But it didn't and then toward the end of 2019, I had been working with a human design coach by that time. And I had been using human design and for myself, and I had started doing some research. I was like, oh, well, this seems, I really enjoyed, reading about it. So I was like, okay, well, let me see if I can maybe infuse some of this in my work. And so I started doing readings, for people, stuff like that. And it just kind of took off from there. And it continues to evolve, I guess you would say.
Yes, that is a similar theme of almost everybody that I interview. It's like we start off someplace, me as well. We start off someplace we think we like or what, and then it morphs into something that we really like or something that sets our heart on fire, and or something that you can pull together and have a greater impact in people's lives. And so that is like so fire, because that's like, it's almost like every time I talk to somebody, I expect that.
Mm-hmm.
because that seems to be what has happened, with people. It's like, yes, like you start here, and then you hear all these different coaches and lives and stuff saying, don't be afraid to pivot, because you're looking at it like, well, I was a speech pathologist coach or consultant, and now I'm doing human design and marketing and copywriting and all that stuff. But the thing is your path is going to change and shift and stuff, and as well as you are, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just super excited. Where do you see yourself going with what you're doing now?
Well, I see myself going in the direction of like launching the plan is to launch a publishing media company. And it'll be to help, the people who I'm already helping on the copywriting coaching, side, it, them create a body of work, like a book or something that is going to catapult them, their visibility to another level and really make an impact on people. And so that's kind of where I see myself going in the future, is where I'll have like, coaching side where I continue to coach and, mentor people, but also, help them. Like I start this other company where I'm helping them publish books and like just doing all these different things with that. That's kind of where I see myself headed with it, because it's like, I'm really into content. I mean, writing is like my specialty, but I also like video and audio. So it's like, helping people to produce that type of content as well is something that is exciting to me. Is, maybe somebody writing a book and then a documentary comes from the book, or something like that. Like it's just this leaving a legacy of all this great content that people can continue to enjoy way past our expiration date. When we transition into the next realm, our work will still be here. Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That is powerful. So, so we describe yourself as being woo, like growing up. Did you have, did you recognize that you had gifts when you were a
No,
child? No.
I knew I had like a deep relationship with God, with source, because I used to pray all the time. Like I wasn't into church per se. I mean, other than what I was obligated to do, because my family expected me. But I
Yes.
knew I had a deep relationship with God. So I would always pray, I was always talking to God. I would hear stuff. Like I remember I was 5 and in 6, and somebody used to tap me on the head at night. I swear. I would go to sleep and I would feel somebody tapping me on my head. And I would tell my mom, I said, Mama, somebody was tapping me on the head, and she said something about that was God, or telling me that I was that I had done something wrong and I need to watch out or something. She would say to that effect, so I would get stuff like that. Sometimes I would just know, like I would wake up, ask a question, I would be worried about something, and then I would wake up just knowing that everything was going to be okay, or with the answer, whatever answer I was seeking, it would just come out of nowhere, seemingly, so I knew,
Mm-hmm.
that there was something there,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't necessarily know. I mean, of course, I was raised in a traditional Christian household, so it's like those kinds of things were bad. Like you're not supposed to witchcraft, you're not supposed to be talking to
That's the
spirits.
devil.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that stuff, we're not supposed to be doing that, but I knew that something, I knew there was something, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
That's typical as well. And
yeah,
I can really understand that because that's where I come from. I was raised Pentecostal holiness and everything was a devil.
yeah.
If I laughed, I talked to my husband, I said, it's almost like they worship the devil more than they worship
I
God.
know, right?
Because yeah,
Super
everything was the
conservative,
devil. It's like,
yeah.
oh, you better not go down that street because it's the devil. It just yeah. So it's hard when you're there. It's like, who do you talk to? I mean,
Mhm.
because if you do talk to them, they'll be like trying to take you down and let them cast the demons out you and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That is so powerful. All right, because it sounds like what you're doing lights you up. I mean, you get this whole glow when you start talking about, especially when you're pulling it all together. Because I can understand that it probably was difficult when you started, moving toward this way. Because I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm like, a speech pathologist. You've gone over
That
here.
had nothing to do, yeah, nothing to do with, but my career in speech pathology allowed me to travel, to do all the things I wanted to do. Like I used it. I know most people, they start a career and then they're like, they do the traditional thing, Like for example, my aunt is a speech pathologist. She's older, but I mean, she's worked at the same place for 40 years. Never left,
Oh my
never
God.
traveled, never moved anywhere, never did anything. Whereas you have me, who was in the field for about a decade. During that 10 years, I moved to New York, I moved to Dubai. I moved to DC. I did all these different things. I worked at all these different centers with these different populations. Like I have all this experience with people. So I feel like
Yeah.
that's the career that's what it prepared me for. Is like me working with people. And because
Yes.
I learned about the physiological processes of human communication. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that has helped me a lot too, you know, in terms of just
Mm-hmm.
understanding the communication process, you know. But I did not see, it's kind of like this is what I always knew that I was supposed to be doing. And I was raised in a family where you're supposed to you pursue a traditional career where you know you're gonna get a job, you know, it's a guarantee.
Check.
Yeah, it's a
Mm-hmm.
guaranteed check, you get benefits, you know, and even if you start a business, it's within the realm of brick and mortar, traditional, you know, you start your own practice, that kind of thing. But like the stuff that I'm doing now is like that's not, you know, like nobody really still I think understands. And I've gotten tired of trying to explain what I do, so I just don't bother. But it's like it's not what people expected me to do. But I feel like it's with my soul. When I was a little girl, I knew
Yes.
that I was gonna be doing this. Like I always knew that I was gonna be writing. You know, that's something I've done since I was a child. I always knew that, you know, I was good with words and I was good with putting the words together to persuade people to do things. I've been doing that since I was a child. I always knew that I was into books. You know, I love to read. You know, as a child, young adult, you know, whatever. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like I knew that from the time I was a child. So it's like all these things that I always kind of sort of knew I was into, you know what I'm saying? I've always been into media and entertainment since I was a child, you know. So all these different things, like now it makes sense to me. You know, I know it's
Yeah.
not traditional and it doesn't make sense. And people are like, oh, well, she was a speech pathologist. How did that, you know, how did that prepare her, you know, to do what she's doing now? But it's like, to me, my soul always knew. And I feel like if I had been left to my own devices as a young adult, you know, when I was choosing like what to major in college and stuff, I probably would have majored in something else. I doubt I would have chosen speech pathology or pre-law, which is what I did. I probably would have chosen some kind of media, you know, mass comm or, you know, graphic design or something, writing, English. I would have done something else other than what I actually did because it would have been my passion rather than me worrying about, okay, I'm not going to get a job when I get out, you know?
But you know, that's how they raise us, and that's
Mhm,
what they taught us. You
mhm,
know, it's like, you know, what are you gonna do with that?
mhm.
Because at one time I wanted to major in psychology,
Yeah.
you know, and I was like, you know, because I was really interested in, you know, the behavior and all this stuff. And
Mhm,
I was thinking I wanted to do that. And then I thought about, I think literature or something like that, because I also was like you, always was a writer, you know, just, you know, never really followed that
mhm.
nudge and stuff. And so I felt the same. I feel the same way. It's like, you know, and people say, well, why did you become a nurse? I said, because my mama told me to go to nursing school.
Yes.
And you know what she said? Go to nursing school. You'll always have a job.
Yep.
You know what?
That's what we
She's
heard.
right.
Yep. Yep.
It's
But what
like
they
you'll always
don't
have a
tell you,
job, you know?
what they don't tell you though is the price that you pay, you know, for not
Yes.
like doing what your soul is calling you to do. They don't tell you about that because, you know,
No.
for our people, I feel like a lot of times we are so steeped in a tradition, but also struggle that we feel like, okay, if you could just get a job and that way you have a steady income, you can survive. You know what I'm saying? Like all these lofty dreams. Like my dad was telling me that the other day, well, you need to come down to reality. Like, what is this world?
Come out the clouds.
What is this world that you live in where people do all these things? What are you talking about? People don't do stuff like that. I'm like, yes, they do. You just don't know anybody
Yeah.
like that. But there are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people doing the things that I do, you know?
So they want you to make sure you grounded.
Yes. They want to make sure you are living in the real world. He was like, have you, I mean, what is wrong? And some of the stuff you say, it just doesn't make any sense. Where do you get this stuff from? And I'm like, well, I mean, the people online, I mean, I have friends who are doing all these things, you know? So I know it's not
And
like,
making a lot of money doing
yes,
it.
that's what I'm telling you. They make a lot more money than what I would have ever made as an SLP. Like, I mean, because you know, it's not as safe. It's not as like, if I knew, like, I still get advertised. Somebody sent me a text today asking me if I wanted a job. And so it's like,
Yes.
it would be more steady in that sense. Like I would definitely have a guaranteed check, whatever. But it wouldn't, it doesn't light my soul on fire. Honestly, at this point, would probably rather slit my own wrists than go back to do that. I know it sounds like people like that's not that serious.
No, no,
I really would rather do anything else other than going back.
no. I resonate so with that because it's like they didn't tell you that these jobs was gonna suck the life out your ass and suck your soul dry.
Yes. They
Right?
didn't tell you that at all.
It's like I just got a message from my DNS at a place that I work, and I'm just on call now because I couldn't stand it. She sent me a message. She's begging me, telling me she'll give me a $300 bonus if I could come in and work and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, see, that's not worth it. It's not worth it. And, in the past, I might have would have said, you know what? I could use that little bit of money,
Yeah.
But now it's like, that job sucks the life out of my ass. It takes me 2 days to recover when I go there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't do it. I was like, you know what? I just can't do it. I'm sorry, but I cannot help you. And then what about when you get the emails from all the recruiters and stuff? Hey, you're looking for a job? You want to go travel? You want to do this? I'm like, I don't want to do all that. I don't want to do it. I was like,
actually let my license lapse.
Oh.
That way I wouldn't have an option to even I can go back and get it, I haven't done anything wrong. I can always go back and renew it. But I was like, if I just let it go, the universe will see, God will see that I want these opportunities, and he'll start sending me.
And I'm not dealing with this.
Yes. And so I stopped doing that. So now, when people send me, inquiries about, I have this job in such and such a place where you could travel and it has benefits and all this stuff. I'm like, well, I can't work because I let my license lapse. I'm no longer practicing. So, I felt like I did it because, it's like, okay, this is, and I did this. I made this decision when I wasn't even making like probably but a couple of $100 a month, in the business. And so I was like, okay, this is a risky thing because if I let this go, that means I don't have anything to fall back on. There's no plan B. Like I have to make this work.
Right.
Because
you don't want to go to the grocery store.
No.
I said, because you don't want to go to the grocery store to stock shelves.
I feel like those jobs for me, like I think I would have to lie because my resume is too they would think I was overly qualified and my age on top of that. I'm in my 40s now. They would be like, well, what have you done for the last how many years? Like, what have you been doing? Because my dad was like, oh, well, you could just don't tell him you have a master's degree. I say, yeah, but I'm in my 40s. I can't. What am I going to tell the people I was doing? Like, if I was in my 20s, that'd be different. Maybe even early 30s, you could kind of get away with, I traveled abroad. I was in school, for this, that kind of stuff. But by 40 something, they're like, what's going on? Like, why don't you have a career, a history, a work history?
Girl, look, they don't care now. They don't care. They just want people to work.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Girl, they do not care. They just want people to work. And they be like, because, I don't know if you realize, but a lot of people with this pandemic, a lot of young people retired. They decided they was going to do what they want to do. Yes. People in their 30s.
Oh.
They was like, nah, I can't do this. And they started their own business, doing a YouTube channel, whatever. But they was like, no, I can't do this no more. Yeah. Life is too short. I'm not going to do this. And I actually read an article about a bunch of people that were doing that. I was like, wow. I said, that makes me think, because I'm like, I work Saturday and Sunday now, and oh man, that's about all I can do. It's like they call me in and be like, can you do? No.
They probably
Do
like,
you,
man, what is
they be
going
like, do you
on?
need an extra day? Do you work another job in the week? No. Do you want to? No.
Mm-mm. I'm good.
I almost be wanting to tell them, I don't want to work this job.
I know.
I'm here these 2 days.
Exactly. If only I could just say no to y'all for everything, I would.
Right. Exactly. I was like, y'all don't know, y'all time is coming.
Yeah.
All right. So I gotta ask you one last question.
Mm-hmm.
So when the people come to you, what is the most amazing thing that you help them to get through?
I think that like what's coming through lately is that I feel like I give them permission to just speak. You know what I'm saying? Like to speak their soul, to speak whatever it is they want to say that they've been kind of holding back on. Like they come to me and I'm like, well, maybe if you said this, because like it'll come up in conversation. Like so usually some, polarizing message they have or some opinion they have about something that's super duper strong. And I'm like, well, I have looked at your content. I haven't seen you mention this. Why haven't you been talking about this? And usually I get something about, oh, I thought it was too much, or, I kind of, haven't been wanting to talk about it because I'm afraid that so-and-so is going to think this or whatever. And so it's really getting the permission and giving themselves the permission to really say whatever it is they want to say and just be themselves, like unmasked. Like you don't have to put on this facade like we think we have to do when we come online. We have to put, make ourselves look all pretty, and sound, perfect and all this stuff when really you don't. You just have to show up and tell people like, hey, this is my expertise. This is how I can help you, and share your real story, you know?
So really allowing them to step into their authenticity.
Yeah, so much.
Awesome.
And not in
That is.
because I feel like a lot of times in the online space, authenticity has become like this buzzword, where it's on even that
Yes.
is almost manufactured. You know what I'm saying? But
Yes.
really, it's
Yes.
telling us about your day, even if it's not, you don't think it's that exciting. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Really figuring out, telling us when you make mistakes, or when you've done things that you're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that, or this is a lesson I've learned from this, or when I first came into the industry, this is what I experienced, and if I had known what I know now, I would have done it this way. Like just real authentic, like I'm not a perfect person, type of thing.
That's fire, because that's the journey that I'm actually on.
Yeah.
Um, Spirit told me at the beginning of this year that it was time for me to go deeper, and so that's where I've been, just
Yeah.
coming forward and speaking, my truth, and sharing, more of who I am, and not sugarcoating, because I mean I'm not a sugarcoating type of person anyway, but not just showing all the good shit, because that's what people do. They show when they got a car and all that stuff, but they don't show how they're struggling to pay for that shit.
Nope.
know? You know what I'm saying? It's like just opening up and sharing, pieces of who you are. And that's powerful that you help people to get their permission in order to do that. All right. So I want you to share with the people how they can connect with you, because I know that they're going to want to connect with you so they can get a session with you. Or are you doing like group work as well?
Yeah, I have a group program that's actually coming up. It's called Remembrance, a society, and it's basically like a journey to remembering who you are, and then showing up powerfully in your messaging and content. So it's going to be a little bit of human design, You are going to learn, how to create content and stuff like that according to your unique energetic process. But it's also a lot of embodiment in there. And there's also some marketing and messaging pieces in there about how to really write copy, and create content that converts, that gets people super interested in your work. And yeah, so that is going to be, it's a group experience. I would say it will be like a mastermind, but with the group coaching component. So yeah, there's that. And then I have
Are you just taking women in that program, or is it open to everybody?
I work with people, all genders, mostly non-men. Most of the people who work with me are either, women, since they identify as women, or they're like gender non-conforming or something. Every now and then I work with a guy, but most guys, I don't know. I usually attract non-men. But it's for all genders, regardless.
And about how many people are you looking to have in that program?
At the most 12, probably, because I want it to be intimate. It's intimate. They get, there'll be live trainings, live coaching calls, messenger access, group messenger access. So if they're having issues, they can show up, in the chat and get support, not only from me but also the people in the group. And then there'll be if you want to do VIP will be all of that plus private Voxer access and private calls.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so share where the people can connect with you.
You can find me on Facebook. That's where I'm the most active. I am also on Instagram, but I don't. I've been working on getting active on Instagram, but I'm not as active on. If you want my content, it's gonna be on Facebook, and I'm Tasha Christy on Facebook. I also have a Facebook group, where I share free content. Like sometimes it's shared with on all the platforms, but every now and then I do like free live trainings. And if I do a free live training, it's gonna be in my group. So if you're interested in that, the name of the group right now is Content by Design. It's about to change, but that's what it is right now. I'm about to change the name to something else, but yeah.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so I appreciate you coming on the show, and I have just enjoyed this conversation immensely. It's been just amazing. I mean, we have so much in common. Mm-hmm. But I just really, I love your platform, and I love the way that you are weaving all the things that you enjoy and just making it into something that is beautiful.
Yeah, so thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I commend you on that. So again, thank you for coming on the show. And those of you that are watching or listening, thank you for watching and listening. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure that you share, and subscribe. And if you're listening on the podcast on Anchor or Apple or Google or Radio Breaker or Listen Now or iTunes or wherever the hell you're listening to it, make sure that you like that content as well and share it as well. So thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your time, whatever day it is that you're watching this or listening. So thank you so much. And Tasha, I appreciate you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely.
I know you've been blown away with the amazing value here today. Now go out and inspire the planet. And be sure to send us a message when you're ready to come talk about it on Straight Outta Savannah, Talking with Tammi.